Changing Landscapes Vancouver Island is brought to you in part by Roadrunner magazine.
Roadrunner is the most comprehensive resource for motorcycle touring and travel. Read, discover, ride.
To kick off the Vancouver Island series, we're heading out to sea for a visit to Friendly Cove, the spot where James Cook first landed in 1778.
D2, who do we have here?
No, we're not sailing in on a tall ship, but we have the next best thing, the last wooden-hulled coastal freighter in Canada, a converted Second World War minesweeper known as the Uchuck III. Who says the East Coast has a lock on maritime tradition? Vancouver Island, British Columbia. That's a little island off the west coast of Canada. It's our home, and what a place it is. My name is Scott Wilson, and I'd like you to join me and my good buddy Dominic Medlinski as we explore our island. Dominic's a landscape artist, and I like to film, and together we like riding bikes, so we're going to take you for a ride. There'll be stunning scenery, lively locals, a bit of wildlife, and perhaps even a tipple or two. If you haven't checked out Vancouver Island yet, then here's your chance. This is Changing Landscapes Vancouver Island. There's nothing like heading out into the gray. It's wet, it's cold, it's energizing, but more than anything else, it's authentic. This is what the West Coast is all about. One day it's sunny, the next you wonder whether you'll ever see it again. We were on the Uchuck III, a converted Second World War minesweeper, and we were on a 3-day adventure.
To run something like this, you got to be passionate about what you're doing.
Of course, yeah.
And so anything you could say about the Uchuck that maybe distinguishes it from all the other cruises available out there?
Well, we provide a service delivering cargo to small remote places the way it was done 50, 60, 80 years ago before all the highways got onto Vancouver Island and even the lower mainland. We still do things the old-fashioned way. We know the customers we service, a very hands-on operation. We take people along to see what we do, which again is a bit different from the north.
Our first stop of the day was a fish farm where we offloaded a good portion of our freight. It was fascinating watching the crew in action, and there was a precision about their work born from many hours on the water. And the weather, well, the weather seemed to have little effect on their actions. We sailed out toward open water as we made our way to Uchuck, and just as we got used to the rain, things started to rock and roll.
The launch is coming up. Well, I have to admit, first time in my life I didn't make it. As you can see, I have not retained the chili. The chili has left the premises.
The chili may have left the premises, but it didn't stop Dominic from painting. The crew didn't stop work because it was gnarly, and neither did he.
Krusty.
The telegraph has cables that run down to the engine room, and there's similar looking displays over top of each engine. So when I want to do a maneuver, I'll bring the telegraph to standby,
the engineer will answer me with his deal here. And when he's answering me, I know he's standing between the engines and ready to do maneuvers. And then I'll just start giving maneuvers from there. You're going to have slow, stop, slow the ship down. It's pretty straightforward from there. If I want to go stern, then go slow stern. You'll do the maneuver, and then you'll answer with his deal.
I love history, love how things work, and seeing old technology in use. One of the great things about the Uchuck III is that passengers can visit the engine room. For me, that's a real treat, as the engine room is the heart of any vessel. It's a very special place. Most engineers are fastidious, and engine rooms are maintained like Harley Davidson's going to a show and shine. And Frank was no different. Ship's engineers have a tremendous responsibility and take it very seriously. And on the Uchuck, that responsibility is taken a step further with the telegraph system.
So basically the captain, he has no control over the ship.
No, he's got rudder control.
Rudder, but I mean as far as engine forward, reverse, accelerate, he has to telegraph the signal to you, and then you're the one that basically moves the ship forward or back.
Yeah.
All right. That must feel kind of good.
Yeah.
You're kind of like God down here.
Yeah. I'm God in my own little world, I guess.
Yeah.
And back up on deck, we were approaching Uchuck.
Passengers on deck, the ship's whistle will sound. Very loud, please cover your ears. Something over here.
And one captain would give an extra little one up because we have off. You can tap on like that. Or even part older, so you can do that.
We moored up, and the guests disembarked, were split into groups, then were shuttled to their respective B&Bs, while the crew offloaded the last cargo of the day. Building supplies and ice cream. What a day it had been.
So here's the end of the day. We just stepped out of Uchuck III. And it was a little bit of a rough crossing, but not too bad. I won't reveal any secrets. I did a really nice painting, I think, which will be shown later on, of the Uchuck and a little bit of the landscape. I was painting out the overhang. That was the only kind of a dryish spot outside, but the weather was changing in the last 2 hours, so I am looking forward to painting tomorrow, hopefully in some sun, and on Saturday as we return into Gold River.
All paintings created during the filming of this series are available for purchase on Dominic's website at www.paintingjourneys.com. Take a landscape artist from Canada, Dominic Medlinski. Then take his buddy, Scott Wilson, a travel writer who never shuts up. Put them on motorcycles, send them to Bolivia, and what do you get? Well, you get one heck of an adventure. Follow along as they rip through changing landscapes, from the Salt Flats to the Andes, and the Altiplano to the Amazon. This is Changing Landscapes Bolivia.
All right, here we are in the galley, day 2. Who do we have here?
Me.
This is Elaine, and she's been taking good care of us. I mean, look at this. What do we got? We got cinnamon rolls. We got, what do we got over here? Apple or?
Apple turnovers.
Apple turn. We got banana bread, mini quiches. We've both agreed that basically this is it. We're not moving on. We're staying here.
Cool.
Good morning, Spencer.
Morning.
How you doing?
Good.
It's the skipper. So what time we cast off? 9 o'clock. All right.
Good morning from Uchuck.
Kia what?
Uchuck.
We have a fork. And as we met a couple of fishermen yesterday from Edmonton, they said, as Yogi would say, whenever you come to a fork, pick it up. It was a spectacular morning, and we took the time to walk out to the beach. Vancouver Island has always been about forests and fishing, and it was nice to see a fishing boat heading out. Then we did too. What a difference a day makes. We started tracking back down the coast as the mist played in the forests and the sun started to break out. It was gonna be a good one. Was it, you know what it's supposed to do tomorrow? More of the same? Yeah?
Yes.
Oh man, this is fantastic. See, we paid our dues yesterday, and this is the...
Oh yeah, I like that. Get it done and over with.
One has to be patient with the West Coast. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's always on form. It's just on form in different ways. Okay, so here we are, day 2 of the Uchuck III adventure, and I'm on the bow. We just stopped at dead water because we saw some humpback whales, and right now it's a gorgeous day. Yesterday we had the typical West Coast weather. Today we got more sunshine, blue skies, beautiful water, whales, and I'm going to take you for a quick introduction of the crew, but meanwhile we have Mr. Medlinski here. He's painting the bridge. So we'll check in with Dominic, and then we'll introduce you to the crew. All right, Mr. Medlinski, what are you saying?
Fantastic day on the West Coast, finally warm. Everything is dry. Wow.
It's dry.
Yeah, I just started blocking and the painting with overall values. As I'm progressing, I'm gonna put more and more details.
Well, we're a coastal freighter, so we deliver freight to basically anybody that needs it, which these days encompasses fish farms, which we're passing right now, and logging camps, and during the summertime it also includes fishing lodges, and we deliver to the coastal community of Cayucan, which does not have road access, so we're one of the only means of getting stuff in and out. And we offer tours during the summertime for people to come along and take a trip with us and watch what we do. We're the last working wooden freighter in the country, so it's kind of unique and people get a kick out of seeing how it's done.
You said this was a wooden freighter. Where did the hull come from?
It was a US minesweeper originally. It was built in Portland, Oregon in 1942 and served out of San Diego Bay during the war.
Yeah.
It was the YMS 123, which stands for Yard Minesweeper. It was decommissioned after the war, and everything was stripped off it, and then the Barclay Sound Transportation Company bought it in 1950. Spent 5 years refitting it into a coastal freighter passenger vessel, and January 1st, 1955, it went into service as a coastal freighter, and it moved up to Nootka Sound in 1963.
So in a sense, this is a piece of history.
Absolutely.
Okay, so actually we were on our way to lunch, but we got waylaid by Mr. Dave. And Dave, what do you do here?
I'm a deckhand oiler.
Deckhand oiler.
Uchuck, so If Frank's up above on deck, it's my job to look after the engines when he's up on deck. So.
Okay, so Frank's the engineer. So basically, when the boat's rocking and rolling, someone's got to be in the engine room, right?
Exactly.
So if he's up here, you're down there?
I'm down there, yeah.
If he's down there, you're up here.
Exactly.
Okay, and you're riding the hoist, and you're doing the cargo and all that good stuff.
I do, yeah. I sure love it on here, and what a blast.
Simon here he's kind of the main man up on the controls too. You called this a butterfly?
Butterfly rig, union purchase, derricks.
Derrick, so
winches, derrick system, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching him yesterday operate this thing, and it's pretty cool because it's not just one hand; it's both hands. So
yeah.
You got two different winches going at the same time.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of
Takes some practice.
I bet.
And that was the crew: Spencer, Frank, Simon, Dave, and Elaine. What a gang! And when we weren't swapping stories with them or raiding the galley, we were taking in the wildlife. We'd been seeing a lot of whales, but to be honest, I was just as excited to see the sea otters. We're all familiar with the rarity of whales, but the sea otters suffered a similar fate, and in fact were hunted to extinction on this part of the coast. It was only with the reintroduction of sea otters from Alaska that they managed to make a comeback. And there's something about the way they bob on their backs in the sunshine with not a care in the world that strikes a chord. We sailed into Zabellis and moored up for the night. And there's a road into the town, so the Uchuck doesn't stop here as often as Cayuquit. But when it does, it's big news. The liner's in town. Now obviously Zabellis has seen better days. I mean, it was a gold town at one time, but its halcyon days are long gone, which makes Zabellis today quiet and unassuming. Still, the town has some characters and a plucker or two.
But at the time, it was called the Little Prospector Motel.
That was a motel?
It was, well...
How many rooms?
It was 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms?
But it was just rented out by the people next door, and they had a cute little name on it.
We hit the cool little museum, then finished off our day tracking some bears. The salmon were running, and apparently the bears were in town.
It's a jungle in British Columbia style. And nice and fresh.
In the end, we spotted one from the bridge. A big black bear, which is always a cool thing to see.
He's a good size.
Expertly planned tours complete with maps, GPS files, and area information. Roadrunner is the most comprehensive resource for motorcycle touring and travel. Read, discover, ride.
If day 2 had been good, day 3 was looking to be spectacular. We were off to Friendly Cove, the location where Captain James Cook first landed in 1778.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back aboard the Uchuck. Hope you had a nice day in Scotland. Our third leg of this random voyage today will take us straight to Friendly Cove. So we'll be heading over to Scotland, Timrit, back through Tassus Narrows, down Tassus Timrit, and then up Cook Channel to Friendly Cove, where we'll spend a couple hours, and then we'll stop at a fish farm on the way back. And I've heard reports that there's a raft of sea otters in Tassus Timrit, so we'll see if we can get a look at them.
I'm going to show you where we sleep. This is where they've put us up for the last couple of days, so here, check this out.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. The last wooden freighter in Canada.
There you go. So there was Mr. Medlinski was down here, he had the bottom bunk, and then I was up here, top bunk,
I heard a rumor that you were going to get into character.
Yes, I'm gonna be playing Captain Cook, the English captain who landed in Friendly Cove of the Vancouver Island in 1778, 1 year before he died.
Hello, Captain Cook.
I got a question.
You look brilliant.
As Dominic got into character, the real Captain Cook had made his way into Friendly Cove with the ship's Resolution and Discovery. The captain had sought a safe shelter to make ship repairs after his journey from the Hawaiian Islands. The shore excursion was the first recorded by a European, and the Nootka Sound area became the main trading hub of the West Coast, as sea otter pelts became a hot commodity.
I'll get out of the way.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Stay between the rocks.
Okay.
Between the rocks. So do you have engines back in the day?
No, there was just...
You didn't have twin Clevelands, did you?
No. We had lots of sails, that's about it.
Lots of sails.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start sailing there, Mr. Cook?
Sailing when I was a young boy.
Yeah?
Bye.
With the sun glittering on the water as we approached Friendly Cove, I tried to imagine what it must have been like to be Captain Cook. Had the weather been this gracious for him? If so, it must have made quite the first impression.
Okay guys, welcome to Friendly Cove. Ship time is 12:47. We will be leaving from this dock at 2:45. I repeat, that's 2:45 sharp. I'll sound a 10-minute warning whistle before departure. Once you're off the ship, you can just follow the boardwalk all the way down. You can head to the right, follow the trail. It'll take you across to the other side, where you'll see a beach, and there's an old church with some history of the area in there. And alternatively, if you walk down the boardwalk to the end and turn left, you can walk up to the, you might just be able to make it across there at high tide. But you can walk across up to the lighthouse and have a look there as well. Once again, that's 2:45 departure. I'll start a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Today there are few remnants of the past in Friendly Cove, or Uchuck, its First Nations name, which means where the wind blows in all directions. There are, however, a couple of very interesting local carvings which obviously illustrate the importance of the area to the local First Nations.
So we've got the first part of the carving here, and then we have the, I'm not sure, it's not the raven, I'm not sure what that is, but then we have the bear, by the looks of it. You can see the bear's bottom legs, you can see his claws here and his head. Okay, then we have, this must be the wings to the raven.
With our visit to Friendly Cove over, it was time to head back to Gold River, and I guess, as most return journeys go, it was time for reflection.
So I just changed back to the civilian clothes from the Captain Cook character. Yeah, I kind of felt really good being in this character. Felt like I was exploring for the first time the new undiscovered land, if you wish to think like that. Unbelievable weather for the last 2 days. We're getting a true West Coast experience from foggy, rain, stormy, rolling seas to beautiful, cloudless, sunny days, and flat mirror glass whales, killer whales, and the sea otters, eagles. And today, the highlight of my day, going to the Friendly Cove, was seeing the otter ball which fell in 1983, and it's been laying there along the blackberry bushes. A very moving experience for me as an artist, seeing the really high quality of carving.
Okay, so we're here with Ron and Judy, and I was just wondering, this is the third day of our what is it, Esperanza Adventure?
Yep.
So have you had fun?
Absolutely, fantastic.
Yeah?
Wild West Coast.
It is pretty wild, isn't it?
We saw lots and lots of humpbacks, too many to count today. We saw them breaching. We saw rafts of sea otters. Beautiful scenery all day, beautiful weather. Friendly Cove, amazing beaches. What more could you ask for?
Indeed. What more could you ask for? Nothing like a dose of West Coast therapy. As we headed back, Spencer was up at the helm, on the telegraph sending commands down to Frank in the engine room. To complete the picture, a camera on the port bow tracked the Uchuck as she returned to port. This was the telegraph at work. Our time on the Uchuck had been a real pleasure. In an age where everything is focusing in on efficiency, it's nice to step back and acknowledge the past in an authentic way. The Uchuck may be old today, but that's the point. After all, there was a time when she was cutting edge, when telegraph systems were the norm, not the exception, and to be able to see her in operation is a real treat. And I guess what really impresses is just how effective she remains today. She's a classic. Add to that wild West Coast scenery, working ports of call, the colorful history, abundant wildlife, and what you have on the Uchuck is an exception. She rebuffs all things modern and instead coasts along in her own world, in her own time.
Thank you very much, guys. Oh man, we gotta get ready to go home. Dave was telling me the last thing you want to do on any kind of vessel is fall out with the cook.
Oh, yes.
You don't do that.
Can't go without me.
Can't go without you.
I'm the brains of the operation.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Thank you.